humble tailor. But because we're from Kimberley, his mom and dad had raised him very well. There was no job opportunities, but a tailor was in demand because that was someone who could sew by hand a proper suit, a collar and a tie and a jacket and a pants. And he sewed for the richest multi-billionaire, the owner of the mines called Harry Oppenheimer. My father sewed his clothes by hand. And so for his wife, they call it a costume. It's a beautiful cut jacket like Lady Diana would wear or the Queen of England. That kind of clothes is called a costume. So my father used to sew that by hand. And when he brought us to Cape Town, he was a wise old man. He was a wise young man. He bought his first property from his money that he had been sewing and raising his 7 kids. My mom became a housewife even though she finished high school. She has a hand of calligraphy. My mother writes the most beautiful, she's still alive. She's over 90. Anyway, and talking about my dad, he was actually known as Sali Mobara, that's my maiden surname, the Tailor King of Kimberley. Everybody knew him like that. And brought us to Cape Town because we were in an affordable position. I come from a middle class kind of wealthy family, so I'm familiar with knowing, having good food, having everything. I'm not part of the struggle of a daily life, but I'm part of the struggle of the apartheid where we were segregated and separated. I'm only part of that struggle. So my struggle is not getting onto the bus because it's meant the first bus is for whites, the second bus is for us, and we have to be on the top. The buses were double deckers, so it's buses that's like the red bus that you get here. It's exactly the same bus. So the top was for us coloureds and blacks sit up in the last 3 rows. The last furthest row, so the bus crashes and you are the last to get off as well. And the bottom, even if it's empty, there's no whites, you have to have an empty bus on the bottom. So that's the bus rides. So I know about that, and I know about the 1976 riots because that was my last year of school. And I also know about people that were moved from District 6 because my father used to take us for trips and drives and stuff like that because we own cars, etc. But I never struggled from the eviction and the houses that was demolished. That wasn't part of me because I'm not a Cape Townian. I was in a tiny little girl. Okay, me and my siblings, we were still small. So the apartheid for me was basically not that hard to experience. Not the apartheid, but the evictions wasn't hard to experience because we had a home and we had a good life and we had the best of education. So that was our drive in our family. Go to school, become somebody and come back with your results because nobody else is going to feed you. You have to feed yourself one day, and that's why the two of you are sitting here as well. You have been told that also. You can't lay on your parents' neck. So I'm not well established, but I come from a family where we had enough of everything, except the life that we led was the apartheid years, where we had to go through the struggle of the apartheid, but not of lifestyle. Okay, that's my story.
Yeah, so I'm now just the direct opposite of Faye. My father was a laborer and my mom was a domestic servant. She worked for a lady, Mrs. Major, but she came from England. And so Mrs. Major stayed in Berkeley, in a flat. And from Mrs. Major, my mom got work through Mrs. Major by the other neighbors. So she was working for 3 families. And the one lady, I think she was Mrs. Slingsby. She had a daughter and the daughter's name was Sandra. And Sandra, I think, was about my age because I can remember my mom brought a pair of, that is how I would think that Sandra was my age. She brought a pair of shoes home one day and it was a white pair of shoes with a small little heel, and my mommy dyed it black because Anya had to wear these shoes to school. But I'm telling you, it was so much fun because all my girlfriends at school, I was in standard 1 when I were at Florian, and then all my girlfriends wanted to put on my shoes, and I was so proud of myself with these shoes. We struggled. My father was a drinker, and my mom was a very soft lady. Yo. And in the evenings, especially at the end of the month, then my mom would say, "Come inside at 6 o'clock and your dad is not home yet. So I'm sure he is drunk again." And the first thing that she would see to is that the 6 children eat their supper. As long as we are full in our tummy, she always said, then she is relieved. And lo and behold, my father will come home, and my mom was a very soft-spoken person, very soft, and she was so scared of my father. And that is one of the reasons. My elder sister, she worked, she left school. The reason why she left because there was no progress. So she went to St. Joseph, which is today called the Pallotti Hospital, and she was working there with the nuns doing needlework. My brother after her, he also left school at the early age. And then I continued my school. But the reason, I always say that, very proud about it, but the reason why I wanted to be educated, I looked at the lifestyle my dad and my mom had, and I always used to think in my mind, I never ever want to ask my husband one day for money to buy me as little as a panty. I want to be in control. I want to be control of my own money, and then that is why I study and I want to become a teacher. But I was so strict that my father told me, you should never have become a teacher. You should have been a warden. So yeah, and even after I got married, I still improved my education.